Man, you wear a lot of hats. You're a casting director, a voice director, a
Mhm.
teacher. I just feel like you are extremely busy. I have two kids. I'm exhausted, but just doing all this stuff that I know you do, I'm exhausted for you.
No, it's actually, it's fun. It's like even the stress level, because it can get really stressful. Well, it's like, I don't have kids, but I have two dogs that, that get into trouble and, you chase them around. But it's like, it gets stressful, but it's like video game stressful. Like, like, oh my God, I gotta get to the next level. I gotta get to the next level. Um, but you enter into it because at the end of the day, it's fun most of the time. So.
How do you manage your schedule? Like like what time do you start like logging in, I guess, and like what time do you like head home or stop for the day or do you ever
Uh,
stop?
oh, I definitely stop as often as I possibly can. It's well, my day I work on both coasts. So it's a little easier for me when I'm on the East Coast because I can get up a little bit later as opposed to 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So I'm pretty much 9 to 9 to accommodate both coasts. But I also do like if I have to listen to audition tracks and stuff like that when I need like quiet time and I don't have to answer emails or phone calls, I'll do that after, at night, and I'll sit with my with the auditions, with the castings. I'll go through everything. If I have to watch video, because a lot of what I direct, I have, well, all of it really. I have to watch the show first, often in the original language, and I'll get 4 episodes at once with a deadline. So I'll sit down for 4 hours and I'll watch the 4 episodes, as much as I can. So, I mean, I'll split it up if I can, but it's easier if I can sort of do it in one fell swoop. But it's not, I'm not an iron worker. It's not like, I'm on the 50th floor of an unfinished building, carrying stuff. So it's manageable. It's fun. Coffee helps. I am a terrible caffeine addict. There you go. This business runs on caffeine.
Right.
So,
I was listening to an interview you did, and you said that voiceover is mostly about personality.
mhm.
Can you tell me more about that?
I actually think all acting really is. It's um, what's going to be unique about you is you. That's it. I can give 5 people the same script. They'll all decide to be happy because the first line is, "Oh my God, I'm so happy." Um, I can speed people up, slow people's reads down. I could tell people how to hit a joke differently if it needs to be done, which often it doesn't. But, if it does, I can redirect people. But at the end of the day, the choices are probably going to be similar in most cases. I mean, scripts need what scripts need. So, what is somebody going to bring to the table that's different? It's not whether or not they choose happy. If happy is the obvious choice, everybody should be choosing happy, but it's who they are when they're happy. What I'm listening for is they're happy. Their version of it. And it's just what happens when they're being themselves. It's not necessarily something you can fabricate. Um, I mean, the thing we like about any star, about John Hamm, is not that there aren't other people that look like him or can act like him or have his voice. It's John Hamm. The first thing you think of is the reaction of that person. Keanu Reeves, um, anybody, Vanessa Redgrave. It doesn't really matter. Part of the excitement is who they are. Meryl Streep. Um, that's what makes them unique, not that there aren't other people with the ability to do the same job. So that's really what I look for. What personality is going to be plugged into that human shaped hole in the cast?
Mm.
Um, and it's part of what gets people called in. In this business, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And auditions are really ways for people to know you better. If I've called somebody into audition or offered them a job, I want them there. They're not coming in to prove they're a great actor. They're coming in to not prove that they aren't as good as I thought they were. Um,
That's
I'm
a good. I've
calling
never
them.
heard that. That's good.
Yeah, it's thank you. I call them in because I already have a vibe of what they bring genetically, their voice type and all that, but their personality, how I feel they're going to jive with the other people in the room, because production is a hive mind. There's so many of us all working together. There's a queen bee in an office somewhere with a checkbook, and the rest of us are all just workers trying to put together a hive that's not going to fall apart in the rain. And part of my job as a casting director, and especially as a director, is to know who the other worker bees are going to be, including myself, and call people in that I feel are going to jive with that team. And that's who they are. Voice is great, but a voice is a genetic quality. It's like a birthmark. It's right for some things, it's wrong for more things. But you're there because I want you there. And that's a personality thing. Plus, personality cuts through. Voice doesn't always.
Yeah.
Yeah, long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, it was great. I thought that was fascinating. It was great. Yeah. When you're listening to an audition, how far into it until you're like, thank you, next?
It really depends. If I'm listening, well, first, people need to realize what I'm listening for. Some of the shows that I work on have like 50 roles. I'm not going to put out 50 sets of sides. So I'll put out one side for the men 20 to 40, even though I know 40 may be wrong for this particular role, but the vibe of the sides is right for a whole bunch of other roles. So you'll be reading for one role, and I may be really listening to you for something else. Does that make sense? Also, if it's a dubbed project, because I work on a lot of those, does this voice sound like it would be coming out of that face in the United States with the United States culture? It may not even match exactly the other voice because different languages have different placements in the throat. So sometimes somebody sounds totally different, but for the United States audience speaking English United States words, does this voice sound right? So if I'm listening and I'm just hearing that just genetically it's not going to fit, I will probably move on. I do give people the option in almost everything I do to give me two takes. So if I don't hear it in the first, I will click to about where the second is, and I'll listen there as well. But when I move on, it's not because I don't like an actor. I mean, I've cast shows from castings from other shows.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
because things have to turn around. I may hear your voice and go, okay, you're not necessarily right genetically for anything in this show, but then the next show comes in and I will go back and I'll re-listen to that audition that I had passed on the first time to see how you fit into this next show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's so much that an audition does once it's out there. And all of it really serves you and serves your career. It may not end up in an immediate gratification of a job, but that's life. I don't get every job either. I should. They should totally hire me for
I should as well. Yeah. Heck,
yeah, but sometimes I don't know. People make mistakes. I don't know.
they all make mistakes if they don't hire us. I mean,
They
really.
all do. It's an imperfect world. Mhm.
When you do you listen to a lot of voiceover reels?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
When people send me a reel, I will often listen to it. Um,
Well, like, what are
if
you listening for when you do that?
yeah, it's a tricky thing because when I'm working on a project, my mind is about that project, or sometimes I'm casting two shows or three shows at a time, or sometimes I'm talking with a colleague on something they're casting and we're going back and forth shooting ideas about my project or about their project. So my mind is in what I'm being paid to work on at that moment. Um, so when a reel comes in, whether or not it's tricky and kind of random as to whether or not it will fit in my mindset as far as whether or not I'm able to use a person right there. But when I do listen to reels, really what I listen for is, does the personality come through? Do I get a sense of this person? Not can they do 15 voices or can they do a whole bunch of accents? Just are they funny? Am I hearing things in their voice that tell me this is a car commercial person, or this is a person for a survivor type reality show, or this is the hard boiled cop on the edge, or, you know, the exhausted nurse. Um, I'm listening really for little unique, everybody's got a unique speech pattern, you know, and I'm kind of listening for what that is to take stock of the person and who they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are things, demo reels can be tricky. I mean, somebody who knows what they're doing with a reel can make anybody sound great. Um, so the performances on the reel, I mean, I expect them to be good. You're paying somebody to do it. But it's not necessarily what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the things that somebody making a demo with you can't naturally craft. A good demo producer will see those things and give opportunities for them to come out. Like, do you hit your T's? Do you have, do you say orange or orange? Little things like this are things that come out, and I'm like, all right, this person has got kind of a cool quirkiness. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but this is definitely something that I should keep in my mind and revisit later. So that's really what I'm listening for. Yeah, it's really weird. It's sort of like asking somebody when you go on a first date, what do you look for? And it's like you can go in with ideas of what you want down the line, but at the end of the day, you're sitting at a table in a unique environment with an individual that you know to a certain level. And it's absorbing personalities. And is this going to lead to a second date? Is this going to lead to a friendship? Am I really into this person and want to marry them? Am I not so into this person? And how do I get out of it nicely? So you're really listening for that. You don't necessarily know what you're going to be engaging with until you're engaged with it. What I also would caution people to avoid, because this does come up, is when people are trying to present something they think somebody else wants. Um, People don't know what I want, and what I want today might be very different from what I want tomorrow. So I can sometimes hear people cleaning up their voice, trying to get a read right. I can often hear if somebody did it on their own at home and they're just trying to say the words and give the soft read that they think I want. Um, those demos I often can't really do much with, because it's like sitting down for the first date and somebody's telling you they own oil wells when you don't really. It's like, I'm going to figure it out fairly quickly.
Mm.
Um, and I don't like being tricked. So,
Right.
uh, yeah, so that's, again, long-winded answer. I'm
No,
sorry.
I love these. Yeah. You like them
Thanks.
to be like produced like it sounds like an actual commercial with like music running underneath and
Oh, yeah, no, I do. And I'm not listening for production value. I mean, I do want it there, but the reason that I want it there and I want people to pay for somebody who knows what they're doing, or I mean, if they're lucky enough to live with somebody who produces commercials or whatever for a living, by all means, do it for free. Um, but I do want something there because mentally it puts me into the place of I don't have to focus on that anymore. Whereas if I'm getting something that sounds like you just recorded it at home and the sound's not great and it's a little echoey, that's what I'm going to focus on. And I can try not to, but it's like sending me a headshot as opposed to a selfie with somebody photobombing. I mean, I'm going to focus on the photobomb, the person behind you doing this, and
yeah.
the things that are not supposed to be there and things that are not supposed to be that way will tend to draw focus. So I want something produced. I want it to sound good so it doesn't draw focus. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It also doesn't, something produced also makes a statement of, the demands of the industry. I don't have to start compensating for the fact that you're not working. I don't have to compensate for the fact that you don't have any money or don't want to spend any money or don't think that this branch of the industry is worth you investing the money that you would invest in new headshots. I could be wrong in all of that, but it's me sitting listening to a demo by myself, free to think absolutely anything I want to think that nobody's going to correct me on. So a good production removes those concerns. And I work with somebody because I don't want to worry about them. I don't want to worry about what they can or can't do. I don't want to worry about extras that I have to do. I want to be a director. I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to, I want to teach when I'm teaching. I don't want to teach when I'm directing. I mean, we'll work together,
Hmm.
and little things here and there, and I'm happy to give tricks, but I don't want to walk into it expecting to do that unless I'm teaching, in
Right.
which case I don't really want to direct.
You do a lot of classes, intensive programs.
Mhm.
What kind of class do you think is best for someone who like wants to get started, like a fully immersive one, an online class?
Um, well, the thing about voiceover is online can be fully immersive. I mean, so much of this business is online. Um, a lot of things are recorded remotely. I think, first off, I would tell people if you're going to take a class, check it out first. Talk to other people who've taken it. There are forums, there are things like that. I mean, I'm a big advocate. I think of you may know as of Terry Knickerbocker Studios. I think they're amazing. I don't teach in a ton of places, but the places that I do teach in, I fully trust that there are people who are coming into it ready to work, knowing the dynamic. I think Terry's people at the studio come in with a degree of training, with a degree of competence, with a degree of comfort being in the new environment, of reading copy that you haven't seen before. And it makes my job easier if somebody comes in ready to connect. Does that make sense? So any environment, I mean, I am an advocate of an immersive environment like that. Um, I feel it's kind of like learning a language, it's like go there,
Mhm.
go there, be in it and learn it. Um, what I caution people against is there are some people that think voiceover is a quick fix, you know, like, yeah, I think it'd be a great way to make a few extra dollars. And they want to go in and they want to do like sort of a one-off class and expect to walk in and be discovered and start working right away. I would caution people against thinking like that. Um, if you've been doing it for a while, sometimes the one-day classes are terrific. It's a great way to meet somebody. But I like an immersive environment. I think working with people with different levels of experience, different backgrounds, I think is great because you'll start to see which needs are individual needs and which needs tend to be more universal.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Um, Plus, it's really hard sometimes to gauge your ability when you're in a vacuum. I mean, if you've been doing this for 40 years or if you've been doing this for 40 seconds, if your first experience is working with one teacher in one environment, it's going to be the same. I'm going to say stuff that you need and you're going to learn stuff that I say. It's really hard to know what you don't have to know, where your instincts really lie. I find immersive group classes tend to bring people out more, you know, and again, it's part of, not to do the plug or anything, but it's part of why I love TK, you know, the studio, because there is so much of that and people come in ready to accept what they're great at, which is often hard to do,
Mhm.
and accept where they need work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, uh, Now, what about non-union roles? Like, is that I feel like that's happening more and more now.
It is. It is, but voiceover is happening more and more. And there are, it's voiceover is the quickest to adapt to new situations. People come up with a new piece of technology, they put a voice on it. There are refrigerators that talk to you now. People came up with a phone and they're like, put a voice on the phone. Alexa talks to us. It's everywhere. There's VR, there's AR, augmented reality, there's hologram technology. There's more and more and more stuff popping up every day. And it's not all union. And some of it, there's not a lot of money in it when it's developing. And so there's also a lot of, and it's been around for a while, but what they call non-jurisdictional, which is non-union, but union people are allowed to do it. There's a lot of promo work, tonight on Nightline or whatever it is.
That was very good, by the way. You're hired.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thanks. I'll have my agent get in touch. Um, there's non-jurisdictional work, so there's technically non-union, but union people are allowed to do it. A lot of dubbing, what we call unscripted, documentary series, documentary movies, reality shows. They tend to be non-jurisdictional, non-union. So there are a lot of union people that do it. Whereas scripted dubbing tends to be more union work. So there is a lot of it, but there's a lot of it that is sort of a union, non-union kind of thing. Yeah.
How worried should voice actors be about AI?
Yeah. Worried. I don't find worry is always the best answer. Be aware. It's a new is. One of the things I tell actors is all you have is the is. You don't have the I wish it was this. You don't have the I did this. You don't have the will be. You have the situation that you're in. Keep your eyes open. It's been being used for a while. They know how to use it. I do think it's not there yet. But AI is kind of a thing, and there are some protections in place in this country that are not necessarily in place in other countries. So be aware. Know that you're not alone. There is this sort of oppressive feeling of, oh my God, if AI comes in, it's going to take my job away. And it feels very alone, and it feels very, what do I do? Being aware will help you focus on the fact that you're not alone, that there's 500,000 other people worrying about the same thing. And some people are really on top of trying to deal with it. So being aware of what's out there, being aware of how things change and adapt, rather than sitting around worrying about it or abandoning voiceover altogether, would be more my advice. Always be aware, though, even on camera. There's a scene in the movie Gladiator where was his the guy who trained him. I want to say Oliver Reed.
Oliver Reed, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was his last
yeah,
role. Yeah.
yeah. I think if I have this right, check me on it, but I think I do have it right. There's a scene where spoiler, where he comes in and he releases Russell Crowe, the gladiators to come out and fight. He was actually dead when that scene was done. Yeah. And they took his head and they put it on another body to do that scene from a scene that he had shot in another place. And they made it work and they re-edited. So if there have been things out there like that, creating background characters, Xena the warrior princess, when she was overlooking a hillside and an oncoming army, often those armies were done with a plugin called Card Dance in After Effects. So there's been some version of it out there. Be aware, talk about it. You're not alone in dealing with it, and somebody's working on it somewhere. So that would be my best advice. Again, long-winded answer, but I do that. So sorry.
I love all these. They're not long-winded for me, at least. Just a couple more questions. There are a lot of websites voice actors can submit to, like Voice 123 or Voices. Even like Fiverr has things you can do there. But I feel like some of these you pay like a crap ton of money and with not a lot of return. What do you? Is there any ones that you recommend or that you like better than others, or do you think actors should even worry about do those?
Well, I will say I don't like Fiverr. People put themselves out on Fiverr and they sell themselves cheaply. Even, there's
$5 or something, or $10 or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think $10 or $5 a minute or whatever it is. I will say nobody who eats at McDonald's if they win the lottery is going to go back and pay more for fries. They might buy more fries at the same price, but they're not going to go back and pay anybody more. If you establish you work for $10, then you're the $10 person. And when I've got the big budget, I'm going to go to the people that I couldn't afford for
Oh,
the,
yeah.
yeah. Plus, it undercuts yourself. It undercuts the business. Nobody working for Fiverr is working for $5.
Right.
They're making lots of money doing it. But I mean, I can only advise that. As far as Voice 123 and voices.com, they're real. There are people that actually do well on those and do audition a lot. I don't personally use them. They're technically competition for me, although not much, but they are. Um, I don't know that I am the best sounding board for that. I know that there are people out there that really know those sites and are really good and do give talks on it. I think there's a lot of stuff on YouTube for it, but they are real. It's what I would advise any actor, though, and this is something that I find a lot of people, even veterans in the industry, often fall a little short on is know the business side, know how to read a contract, know what rates are, know how long, if you book a radio commercial, how long is a reasonable time to book you for? I mean, if it's a Canadian project, they may hold you for a whole day. Uh, in the United States, hour and a half to 2 hours, um, know where it's running, know about rates. There are people that are maybe a little unrealistic. You shouldn't be working for less than $1 million, and it's fine. Get a grip on your place in the industry,
Right.
um, but know what's out there and know that if you're selling yourself for under that, then that's what you're worth. You're the discount person. Um, it's I'm not saying don't help out a friend or a company that's been great to you. That's just fair. But I think a lot of actors out there do themselves a disservice by not knowing what the rates are, not knowing how to read a contract, not knowing if they book one commercial but get two scripts, what that really means. Does that mean there's going to be two commercials running, or is it just an alt script? If it's a second script and it hasn't been said in the original breakdown you're going to be doing two, well, you should get paid for that. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's they don't want to be bothered with it um, or they're afraid to make waves. And I understand that, but the knowledge should still be in your head. So at least you have a tolerance level as opposed to just being excited for whatever job. Because that's where sites like Fiverr thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we know you're excited to just act, so I want to take advantage of that. That's my opinion on it. It's a perfectly legitimate business. People do work on it. People do get paid. It's just my feeling. I wouldn't do it for $5. Yeah.
How would someone get under your radar? Mostly through agents, or like how? What do you suggest?
Um, like I said, in this business, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. An audition is a very intimate connection, especially if it's like in person or on Zoom, in a totally appropriate way. But it is a very intimate connection. It's two of us in each other's heads, getting to know each other, working toward a common goal of making somebody else in some other room think, A, you are brilliant at what you do, and more importantly, I am brilliant at what I do. Um, and you do get to know a person that way. You get to know a person's quirk, sense of humor, general vibe. In my experience, the best way to duplicate that is in a classroom environment. You know, there is a time limit. We've got to get stuff done. There are things we want to impart. There is a very set relationship from day one between the two people in the room, and you start to get each other. I will learn the actor and learn what they bring to the table and start thinking about, it's not a guarantee. A class is never a guarantee. Um, and even if you do work together, sometimes it's years before that happens, but it is a guarantee of a relationship being established. Um, it really is the best place to duplicate that. Plus, the actor gets to know how I think, or how the other casting director thinks, or how the directors think. So when you're in a room with them, it's not as alien. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. There's no connection like a personal connection, and people will get opportunities and work in this business for one reason and one reason only. Somebody wants them to, and that's because of a relationship. I don't even particularly need to like somebody. I need to not hate them, but I don't necessarily need to love them. I just need to know who they are, or at least believe I know who they are, um, and get a feel of what they bring to the table and the vibe they'll be in the room. And it's really hard to duplicate in other places. That being said, if you have an agent, great, because my relationship is with that agent. And so that agent knows when I ask for quirky and funny, or a wise ass, or um, a backstabby jerk, or whatever. That agent will know the kind of things I work on, the way I direct, and the people that will vibe with my personality.
Yeah.
Cool. Um, so, and then there are personal connections, and there are friends. There are people that have reached out to me. Oh, so and so connected me. Friends will reach out and say, my friend is thinking of getting into voiceover. Would you talk with them? Um, any connection you have to somebody is a good connection. First thing you want to do, exploit your connections. Who do you have in the industry you're interested in, connected to people that might be able to help? And second, and this is a big thing, I call this second generation reference, which I don't know is the best wording for it. But if I were to connect somebody to an agent, if I work with an actor, I like them, I met them in a class, they did a show for me, bumped into them at the bus station, it doesn't really matter. If I'm working with an actor, I feel they've got the chops, I feel like there's a lot out there for them, I feel like it would be a mutual beneficial relationship. Um, and I connect them with an agent or a manager or a director who's working on a project. Um, I'm doing that because I have a relationship with that actor. The person who's going to take the meeting that I'm setting up, they don't. They have a relationship with me. So they'll take the meeting in deference to me. But what are they going to see? Before they have that meeting, they're going to look up that actor. Are they going to see a website? Are they going to, it doesn't need to be a great website. It just needs to be in existence. Are they going to see an IMDb page? Are they going to see contact information on that IMDb page? Are they going to see an Instagram that's not just pictures of them drunk, partying naked in a place that I wish I was, you know? What are they going to see when they check that person out that says, this is going to be a person who is not going to rely on me to do everything for them? Um, Even if they don't have a ton of stuff, do they have a studio set up? Is it listed on their site? If they don't, that's fine. But what kind of media do they have? If it's just, oh no, I'm working on a website, it's a website. It takes 10 minutes to put something up. Um, Anything like that, what is the person you're being referred to going to see when they look you up? Everything you can do to fortify that will help. And not all connections will pan out. Most won't, but you really only need one.
I appreciate it. I could have probably talked to you for hours, but I think my time is up.
Hmm.
But yeah, thanks so much again, and I'd love to chat with you again sometime soon.
Love to do it.